Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Top Shelf with me, Shantanu D. Today, we're going to be taking a look at another fountain pen. As the box and the name of the video suggests, it's the Pilot Custom 74 in Burgundy. Now, this is a pen which everybody really knows about. It's very widely used, it's talked about, recommended all across the internet, and aficionados of all things that are fine writing. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. This is the outer box or sleeve that it comes in. It's fairly plain with the Pilot logo in a sort of a gold motif over there. I'll keep that aside. And inside that comes this plastic box. Not very impressive, but Pilot's really not known for its packaging prowess. And again, you have the Pilot logo on top over there, black sort of clamshell box. You open it, it's sort of like a pencil box. Again, the Pilot logo nicely done in sort of a satin finish over here. And here you have the pen bed, so to speak. You take that off, and inside you have a Pilot black cartridge. You have the little thing that comes on the clip, which suggests it's a fine nib. And you have some instruction guide in Japanese. Don't know what it means. Maybe I'll do a Google Translate on it later on. And here we have a sort of a user's manual on how to fill the pen, what to do, what not to do, etc., etc. Now, this is a really popular pen, and I really like it. And it's just something that everybody should try, if not own, once in a while. And if you've got access to somebody who's got this, I would recommend that you try it out first. Let's take a look at the pen now. Now, here's the pen. Now, this is a beautiful burgundy finish. The camera really doesn't do justice to it. You have to see it in real life. It's got a gold trim all throughout, and it's not a flat top. It's a rounded top and a bottom, very similar to the other custom 74s that you find in the various colors and demonstrator versions, especially that are very popular. This is a bit more traditional. And I don't have a burgundy pen, and this is a classic combination when it comes to pens. At least that's what I think. Let's take a closer look. On the clip, you have the ball clip with the Pilot logo over here. And moving down, you have Pilot Custom 74 with 1 star, and it says Pilot made in Japan. It's engraved, and it's really nicely done, I have to say it. It's a very sophisticated pen. It's a very tough pen as well, and it's all plastic, of course. And then you have one ring over here at the bottom, and it's sort of rounded off, similar to the top. Let's take a look at the grip section and nib. Now, this a really comfortable grip section. It's just right. The weight of the pen is also pretty good. You can post it. It's a bit unwieldy when you post it, but not entirely. If you like slightly back-weighted pens, and because the rest of the body is not very heavy, so if you like slightly back-weighted pens, this will do just fine if you're posting it as well. Now, let's take a look at the business end. Now, this is a 14 karat fine nib, and I believe it's a number 5 Pilot nib. So it's a medium sized, it's not very large nib. It's fed by a plastic feed underneath, and this also came with a cartridge converter or a pump filling system that is called the Con 70. Very easy to fill. You just pump this, press this at the back, put the pen inside the inkwell, and pump it very urgently 3 or 4 times, and you get a good fill. I currently have I believe diamine oxblood in this because I thought it would be a good combination, the two of them together. Right, so that's a little bit about how the pen looks and how it feels. Very premium feeling and finish. Let's take a look at a size comparison. Now here's the Lamy Safari. I'll put them together, and the Pilot is a bit longer because of the rounded or elongated sort of finial of this pen, because the Safari of course is a flat top and flat bottomed pen. Moving on, let's take a look at how this pen writes. Now I've done a writing sample just beforehand. I'll do a live one shortly. This is a pen which is a classic Japanese fine, but a Japanese fine sometimes can be a bit sort of feedbacky. This one is very mildly feedbacky, but Pilot really does such a wonderful job with their nibs. It's very consistent. It's hard to explain really. It's smooth yet feedbacky. The flow is excellent, and of course on this paper, which is Tomo River, you can see that the shading and there is some sheen as well, mild sheen. I don't know if you can make out, but yeah, there is some mild sheen that is there on this ink, which this paper shows out. Now, as you can see, it's a fairly fine nib, very smooth. The ink, Diamine Oxblood, while it's very popular, not one of my favorites. It tends to crust up a little bit, not on this pen of course, but not something that I enjoy very much. Perhaps it's also because of the weather where I stay. I live in New Delhi, and it's pretty darn hot. It's currently about 44 degrees centigrade outside, so that's some pretty serious heat wherever you are. And of course the pen overall has many iterations, but this particular one really fits my aesthetic. You could have a different choice of course, and I don't really have any problem with the Con 70 converter. I know there's a lot of people out there who complain about it, but when you've been using fountain pens for pretty much 30 years, it really doesn't matter. To me, I've seen worse and I've seen better. Right, let's move on to a live writing sample. I hope this pen writes because it's so hot outside, and I've just come back from outside, so it could dry out a little bit. Let's do some S's first. Oh yeah, beautiful. Don't get me wrong, the diamine inks are really good, but sometimes they act funny. I don't know why. It could just be me or the way I write. You're watching me on the top shelf. As you can see, it's a very thin line, but very wet. To me, Diamine Oxblood really is sort of a brown. That's what I feel. It could be different on different papers, of course. Let's take a look at the wetness, since I talked about the wetness. Wow, look at that. Really wet. Quite nice. Really, really quite nice. Now let's just do some strokes, and this will give you a chance to see the shading. Now, this is something that I really like about a lot of Pilot pens. Even though the tip is fine, it somehow manages to really give a great amount of ink flow, just the right amount of wetness and dryness and feedback. Not buttery smooth. Of course, the difference between a custom 74 fine and a medium is huge. It's pretty much bordering on the broad, if you ask me. I had a medium earlier, but that just didn't work for me. This one works perfectly for me. It's sort of a bit broader than the Pilot Metropolitan, if you have used that. The Metropolitan fine, that is. All right, what else do we have? Let's just draw. Oops. So, very good flow. No pressure. No pressure. Beautiful. Even though it has feedback, it's really not noisy at all. So all in all, this is really quite an impressive pen, and I really enjoy writing with it. It's fairly tough. You can take it anywhere you go. The converter, if you don't have a problem with the Con 70, it works really fine. You can also use cartridges. Pilot cartridges are pretty good. You can always refill them with the colors that you want. And that's pretty much it for the Pilot Custom 74 fountain pen. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you later on. Bye bye and take care of yourselves. Ciao ciao.